On Tuesday night, like just before I was about to sleep, literally 2 or 3 minutes before, that's when I first noticed these red dots all over my left eye, all over the vision. You can't see it now, but it's I can still see it, in my view. That was a few minutes before I slept, though. I didn't think much of it then, but when I woke up next morning on Wednesday, I was on the way for some therapy for my skin that I'm getting. I realized that red, it was still there. We got to RPA hospital, that's where I was getting my treatment, and I told my nurses and doctors, and they held off on it. They told me to see the eye doctors, ophthalmologists, and when I saw them, they told me I had a central retinal venous occlusion. Basically, the vein behind my eye, the one that takes blood out of it, that was being blocked by something, and the pressure was building up. And they told me it could leak fluid and cause swelling, or it could cause less blood and hence oxygen and nutrients, because blood delivers that. It could cause less blood to go to my retina and macula, the back layer of your eye that's responsible for all your sight, which could possibly lead to blindness. As you can imagine, I was shocked and questions kept running through my mind, but I mean, they were shocked too. I was young. Most people who show signs of this are older people with blood pressure and diabetes and stuff. And even with my history of GVHD and heaps of chemo and treatment, it was still rare, so they were worried. But still, at that point, it was an emergency. So they told me to come back next week and get it checked out with more tests and stuff. But next morning, on Thursday, I noticed that there was this black line as well as all those red dots in my vision. So I went straight to the emergency department, and the doctors there told me it was a retinal detachment at first. And I mean, I was scared. That's literally a medical emergency. That's where the back of your eye completely tears off from the rest. And that can, if that's not treated, you can seriously go blind within 24 hours. So I saw the ophthalmologist. They ruled that out, thankfully. But they told me that central vein occlusion, that had probably gotten a bit worse, if anything. There was a bit of swelling now in the macula, the central region of your eye, most responsible for sight, and probably a bit of blood supply was lost. That ischemia, that was probably going to happen. And that was when they first told me about the treatment. So, first of all, they were going to do a scan of my eye next week to see how far the blood loss had gone. But next, they were going to chuck these injections into my eye. Ouch. They were going to throw in this medication, a drug called anti-VEGF, to basically stop new blood vessels from growing, which could possibly make it worse. But they were also thinking of shining some lasers in there, if it came to that, in the future. Now, I was taken aback by all this. But at the same time, I surprised myself. I mean, the attitude I'd used to deal with my leukemia and other things since then, I was using that straight away as I was hearing this news. I mean, the whole time as they told me everything, I was automatically taking a step back, looking at things objectively, analytically. I was already there. That was my default mode. And from that step back, every fearful thought, every bit of worry and panic that I had coming up, I could question them before they could even take hold and depress me or make me scared or more anxious. I was dismissing them. They were useless, doing nothing but making me feel worse. I was already getting that out of my mind. And doing that made sure my mind was clear on them. And all the legitimate fears and questions I had, I could ask them of my doctors, because I wasn't afraid. I mean, I was already at a point where I was focusing on what I should, the things I could control, my questions to the doctor, the future, rather than the past and all those feelings I couldn't control. And I know it may seem crazy that I could do that in the midst of a crisis, but I think by sheer repetition, I surprised myself there. But I mean, like every other time I've done this through any crisis I've been through, I was just doing 3 simple things. Things that every one of us do anyway, things you do. All I was doing was getting my mind on my side rather than against me. Now, you may not be able to get to that other way of looking just by yourself. I mean, I often do still need help too. You all will probably need someone to talk about it, a friend, a family member, a psychologist, even me. I'm happy to talk. All my contacts are in the description below, but it won't happen straight away either. It's taken years for me to do this so quickly, to be able to do it in such a crisis situation. But I mean, at that point in the eye clinic, I was doing that. And that allowed me to see for the first time that the best thing I could do going forwards, the next step to take, was to just expedite that next scan that I was getting to Friday instead of next week, so I could get on top of it as quickly as I could. So I went there. I went to that scan on Friday, but I was in for another shock. When the doctor saw me then, he took a step back inside and he said, "I hate to do this to you. I know you must hate hospitals by now, but I want you to get yourself checked into Sydney Eye Hospital immediately. The back of your eye is pale now. Your optic nerve is swollen. I think you may have lost blood supply there for a bit." And so we did that. We drove over there, but the whole way, his words, they were haunting me. They were in my mind. And I mean, I have the burden of knowledge. I knew that even minutes, an hour of ischemia or blood loss could mean permanent, irreparable damage to an organ, to my eye in this case. But at the same time, I knew that it wasn't confirmed yet. I knew I could still get some drugs into me to get that swelling down, to get the blood flowing in. I just knew it. But yesterday, I heard some terrible news. Blood supply was lost to large patches of your eye. There is ischemia. You've lost a good chunk of your left eye's vision permanently. And I mean, I can't hide it. I mean, I was shocked. I still couldn't understand. I mean, I could still see from it, but only sudden movements. My peripheral vision was okay, or only a little red was there compared to the rest of the eye, but I could see shapes. That's what it was for, right? But no, I've lost vision. My brain was just making up for it. This all sucks. I mean, I don't know if I can play basketball again. I don't know if I'm going to be able to ride a bike. I still don't know if I can get a license to drive my car again. I don't know if it's going to get even worse, or if it's going to affect how I read and how I write. Probably, hopefully, it won't. But, I mean, I still don't know what's caused it. And till I do, there's still a chance that it could affect my other eye, too. But at the same time, I still know some things. I still know that
It's just an eye. God so fit to grace me with a spare.
And I mean, I can still speak. I can still think. And I think this has taught me heaps. Not only about myself and the eye, but just how it is to be in the tiniest way blind. And 40 million people today are blind. 80% of whom don't have to be. And you and I can help change that for just $10 to $35. But the main thing is, I can still smile. And that's something I, and only I, can decide. It's happened now. I can't change that. What I can control is how I deal with it. And I mean, it may not seem apparent at first, especially when it's tragedy or trauma that's coming your way, but I mean, I'm living proof of this. You will always control you, no matter how hard things may seem. Now, I know you may be thinking that you're so brave, courageous, inspiring for doing this, but it didn't require bravery, strength, willpower, even brains to do this, guys. I mean, you don't have to, you shouldn't put me on a pedestal, because when you do what I did, when you take a step back and question your fears, doubts, and obstacles until you see the best, most positive, most constructive path leading forwards, taking that path becomes the only logical thing to do. The only thing that makes sense. And that is something anyone can do for anything they want to get over or face. So guys, please, use the things you're already doing to make your life better. Don't wait until you failed, till you feel like you're ready for it, till you got cancer or lost an eye, to be the best you can be. Because you can be that person right now. All you got to do is get you on your side.